Welcome back to my channel, fellow gardeners. Today I'm going to introduce another succulent, and this is one of my bestest succulent ever. And I really do love it because it is unusual, it is a talking piece, but at the same time it is so pretty. This is called a Seashell Zigzag Plant, and this is what it looks like. And why they call it the zigzag plant, it's all about the stem and it zigzags down. And another name for this plant is called the Jacob's ladder or the devil's backbone. So let's learn how to propagate it. My name is Alice and I'm the Red Soil Gardener. Now the thing about this plant, why I love it, is first of all, it's about the leaves. You can get leaves that are slightly more variegated, as this would do. And basically is that I had actually propagated this to show you, but then one of the leaves actually turned green. But in general, they do have the variegation. Now the thing is that what happens with these leaves is that when you do have too much sun, they do get a tinge of red. It does indicate that the plant is a bit stressed, but it does give you that hue, which makes it even more interesting. Now the thing about the succulent, now what is the light requirement? Is basically with this plant you need full sun, but also can survive in medium sun. Now in full sun, as I mentioned, you could get your leaves having a tinge of red, but if you do put it in low light, what will happen, it will get very lanky, and once it does get lanky, you'll get the interlode, which is the spacing between each node, will get longer. And then the plant will lean, trying to look for the sun, and could tip over. So basically, your requirement is actually to put it in medium or in full sun. Now, the other thing about this plant, where could you use it, is I have seen people actually, because the propagation is so simple, I have seen people line up their sticks, their stems of the zigzag, and then as it gets full, you could use it as a hedge. And remember that they do have this beautiful bract flower like this, and it will also, as when it does flower, and if you have it as a hedge, you'll get these tinges of this crimson red color along your fence. Now, the other thing is that you could have it indoors. And now, you know, it is a lovely plant. And once again, is that if you do have it indoors, as we know, is that the leaves are quite flimsy, do pull it a bit, not so close to the window, but make sure it does get indirect sun, because without the sun, what happens is that you will have your leaves falling off. The other thing is that if you do have your plant indoors and next to the window, what happens is that the sun actually will damage the stem. And the thing about once it does get damaged is that you won't get so much photosynthesis happening in the plant. So in the end, your leaves will start falling, because basically you do need that photosynthesis in order to make sure your plant gets its food. What sort of soil would you use? I would go for a cactus mix. You could have your soil with a bit of grit inside, or you could even have perlite or even pumice, so that the soil is really well aerated, and also is that the drainage does go through, but at the same time it does retain a bit of moisture. How often would you water? I would water it once every 2 weeks. They're not very difficult plants, and again with succulents, because they store so much water in their stems, is that this plant can actually survive for 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, do your finger test before and make sure that the soil is dry, and then you water it. And again, run the water through the soil twice. Once it drains through, put another bit of water, let it drain, and then once it's completely drained, it's good to go. the only thing that would actually worry this plant is that if you do have a lot of, let's say, overwater, because you will get root rot, and again, like with all succulents, it will get mushy, you may lose the roots, and basically you may lose your flower. But other than that, it is a very simple plant and it does flower. So you could have it in your balcony, you could have it in a pot in your veranda, or you can just simply make a hedge. So let's look at the propagation of this plant. Now, what I did here is I actually propagated these, and they've been sitting in my greenhouse, and then I was dying to bring it out to show you how to do a propagation. Now, simply what we're going to do is, these are just stems that I just put in soil. And so let's just check it, and then we can talk about how to do it. So these are just individual stems that I propagated, and here you go, look at this. So that's where you get your rooting. So basically I will show you how to actually, where to actually cut in order for you to start your propagation. But basically very simple, and they do, okay, this one hasn't taken off very much, but they do actually propagate quite easily. And so once you do have you do propagate it, you will get rooting. So now for propagation purposes, I have my soil here. This is a plant, I've just taken it from my other plant. Now again, as we emphasized, is that between each node, which is here and here, you could actually tell that this plant hasn't been in medium or full sun. So I'm going to use this one for propagation purposes. So what you simply do is I'm going to just cut this here, and I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to remove here, and I'm going to remove there. And actually, as I do my propagation, do wear your gloves, because it does have the milk, which is latex, which can be an irritant, and I just don't want to be having it close to my face, and then suddenly I start getting irritated. So this is my plant, and you can see the latex already pouring. But what I would normally do is actually in this situation is, first of all, I would leave it out to actually callus. But for propagation purposes now, we're just doing a fast forward, is I would just remove the bottom leaves here, and just simply take my plant and submerge all the nodes like that in the soil. And I'm going to remove that one, and I'm going to remove this one here, and I might even, with this lovely display of the zigzag, just remove some of those leaves. And again, I would actually callus it, but I'm just going to stick it in the soil for propagation purposes to illustrate. And also with this one, I'll do the same. Maybe just do it like that. And basically, that's how you propagate this plant, by just taking the stem and submerging the nodes in the soil. And I would sort of, although this has been, I did actually moisten the soil earlier on, but once you do have your stem that has been calloused, then you can actually water the plant. But in this situation, I don't really want to water because the wound hasn't healed. But a simple propagation of this plant is just taking it, submerging the nodes in the soil, and voila, and you will get your plant with its amazing crimson red flowers. So thank you so much, fellow gardeners. Do go and get yourself one of these plants, and they do grow quite big, and you can have it as an indoor plant, and during overwinter you bring them in. But in Nairobi you could have it in your sitting room or displayed somewhere close to a window but a bit far out, so you're not scorching the plant. So thank you so much, fellow gardeners. Don't forget to like, share, press the notification button. We always upload on Thursdays. Don't forget to subscribe, share the channel with your friends, introduce our channel. We do have a lot of fun here with the dogs and everyone. And don't forget that we are on Instagram. Do leave me a comment. People do leave me their comments about whatever they're going through with their plants, and we try to work it together. And thank you so much, and do go and get yourself one of these plants and you will truly enjoy it, as it's such an easy plant for beginners. Thank you so much, and bye.